Ding!
Welcome to the Sexy and Geeky interview with Kami, creator of the Get Your Man webcomic. Hello!
Hello, yay!
It's great to hear from you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. A little bit tired, but other than that, super awesome.
I know that feeling well. Could do with a coffee AU at the moment.
Yeah, that would be great, yes.
So, let's just go into introductions. Get Your Man is a webcomic. It's on Tumblr, and it's about this couple, but in multiple different universes and timelines. And like, how would you describe it to people? It's an interesting one. It's very unusual.
Yeah, it's the same characters all over, but throughout the ages and places, and it's kind of all over the place, just but in a nice way, I think.
It's an interesting one. Like, where did the idea come from? Did one of these universes exist first, and then you started spreading them out, or?
It was that at first it was basically just to be the 1900s AU. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
I've read them all. So is that the one with the soup that tastes bad?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff, exactly.
That's so
because
cool.
that's like the classical thing. If you think of a story about a Mountie, you usually think of those old-timey kind of things. And I guess it was also because I'd been watching a lot of Dudley Do Right, and it's basically in the same setting. So that was to be the original thing, and also it wasn't going to be a webcomic, but like a storybook, basically, like with large illustrations and a little bit of text on every page. It was supposed to be sort of a book thing, and yeah, but I'm not good at like planning things and sticking to the plan, so I just started drawing these little comics, among which was that the soup thing. That was one of the very first ones. Like, oh, I have this funny idea, let's draw it. And it kind of just went from there. I just realized, it's a lot of fun to draw these little stories, and then kind of the other AUs came around. I think the first one was the robot one, Future AU, and that was because I suddenly had this flash of, oh my god, I'm such a fan of Daft Punk, and I love robots. I mean, I've always loved robots, but it's like it just came back to me, like just how much I love robots.
That's cool. You could see that really well in Francis's robot head, with the lights around the side and the display and the kind of chappy ears.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, the head. I didn't design the head myself. It was done by a friend who's good at those sort of things, because I'm not. And I was like, I want something that looks like a Guy-Man from Daft Punk. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll try. And he did that thing with the ears, and it was just perfect, and I went with it. And basically I was like, okay, I have these characters I really like, but I'm more interested in robots right now. So what can I do? I want to continue with the characters, but I also want to do robots. And it's just I mean, like when you're in Tumblr and you have like fandom blogs on your dashboard, it's like AU here and AU there and stuff like that. I was like, that's a good idea. I could do that. And that's kind of how I got started. I'm bad at making decisions as well. So I was like, let's just go with everything. Everything is possible, and
No, it's good. This is a format that works for that so well, just because you can literally draw whatever you think is cool at the time.
I think too it works well as a concept, and also works very well for me, because I tend to get bored of things quickly, like of subjects, and so I can just like jump from thing to thing, however my fancy catches me, and I'm like, all right, this goes, everything works. It's just really cool.
No, it's a good plan. I was talking to someone the other day about that, and how a lot of people, when they're first starting making comics, they start with one thing and they're like, oh, this is a fun story, and then 2 years later they're like, when can this end? I've
exactly.
gotten stuck in this and I can't leave to do other ideas. This is a lot more freeing the way it looks at it, which is very cool.
Is, and it was very important for me to just be able to do whatever. I'm kind of bad at, as I said, sticking to the plan, and the plan is that there is no plan. That's the nice thing about it.
Yeah, and it means that when we get updates, they're like, no idea what's going to happen every single time.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's so good all of the time, because I guess sometimes people might be waiting for a certain thing and then it doesn't happen, and maybe that's also a bit disappointing then. I don't know.
I like it. I find it exciting not knowing where things are going. You know.
I'm glad, but yeah, yay.
Oh. Do you have a favorite universe?
That's difficult to say. I guess it's whatever one I'm currently working at.
Ah.
Because I'm like most into that then at the moment. But other than that, I think they're all great. There's something great about all of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing that.
No, yeah, true, makes sense. I love how different they all are as well, because there's the ones that have comics already, and then there's this list of ones that are thoughts or concepts. Like I didn't find that at first, and I was doing research. It was like, oh my god, there's so many I never even knew about. Alien universe, Pokemon universe.
Yes. Yeah, I think I have to find a way of making that a bit more accessible, because it gets complicated very easily, and people who are new to the things are like easily overwhelmed, I guess, because it's like, oh, what is going on here? There's like 4 pages of this, and then suddenly it changes completely. So yeah, have to find a way to make that a bit better.
It's an interesting one. I want to talk about it a bit. How, using Tumblr as a webcomic publishing platform. There's quite a few people doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the layout and your type of comic, was it difficult to kind of figure out how to get it sorted in the first place, or was it like adding on?
At first I didn't even want to upload it to Tumblr. I just had this kind of... it was supposed to be this kind of... like a place where you could watch the thing become finished, like with sketches and yeah.
Oh, right, like a work in progress kind of blog.
Yeah, right, work in progress sort of thing, right. Mm-hmm. And then, the comics happened, and I'm sorry if you can hear the dog in the background, he's meeping.
Oh, I couldn't until you pointed it out. That's a really cute
Yes, that's the dog meeping. That's the kind of noise that a corgi makes when he's unhappy, because he wants to go outside, but I'm like, no, not now. I read the comic Hot Blood. You've probably heard of that one, I guess.
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Oh my god, yeah, you really should check that one out, because it's also on Tumblr, and it's also about, it has a gay centaur in it. Hey.
Oh, well, yep, that's me pretty much there.
Yeah.
That is a nicely dressed centaur. Update, I have now read all of Hot Blood, and yeah, it's pretty damn awesome.
That's a catchphrase there, yeah. It's like the gay centaur comic. Now, of course, it also has a great artwork and a great story and everything. But yeah, she did the entire thing on Tumblr, and what she had was or he, I don't even know, I'm sorry, the artist. They had a layout for their Tumblr that turned the entire Tumblr blog into a comic, a presentable comic format somehow, like on Smack Jeeves or stuff like that, where you can click on next and first and cast and whatever, and it had all that, and it looked so nice. So I was like, okay, so I could get it to work also on Tumblr, so why take it anywhere else and just stay where it is already. So the one thing I did was that I created another Tumblr, which is just the comic pages, and none of the talk, and yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that has this comic layout thing, the comics only.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I found the Hot Blood one. It is a really nice layout, yeah, and yours is good too. Yeah,
it's the same thing. It's just a little bit. I just modified some tiny things, but it's the same basic thing.
Ah, made the art match it better.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, just the art and some
cool.
other links, but basically it's exactly the same thing. Everybody can download it. It doesn't even cost anything. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's amazing what you can do these days with like WordPress and Tumblr just being so free and open to doing whatever you want.
Even though there is this sort of rigid kind of backbone that it has, but it's like a good thing, because you don't, if you're not a programmer like I'm not, it's really easy to get like very different looking things with very little changes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Tumblr's an interesting one, because unlike like Smack Jeeves and WordPress or basic comics, you don't have a comments kind of section at the bottom, but people can leave comments and they can reblog. What is it? Is it difficult to interact with people who are trying to interact with the comic pages and leave messages?
It's It's different. That's true. It's not quite as easy. You don't just type in your comment and can comment on that. But people are actually pretty communicative. They write messages, notes. I think no, wait, they're not called notes. Whatever.
Oh, asks.
Asks, right? Exactly. I mean, it's been so long to Tumblr, but still, I don't know what the things are called. It's like it's the picture with the post thingy there. No. Envelope, that's the word. Now, they write asks, and there's also quite a lot of interaction going on there, and you can answer those asks, and then people reblog it, and they add their comments through the tags. That's kind of a thing on Tumblr, which is kind of weird, I think, because that's not what tags should be for, but people use that. And there's an extension that you can get for Xkit that lets you read those tags that other people put on your things, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
It's different to usual, but yeah, it's cool. Like, I know some people have installed Discus on their Tumblr instead, so it's got like a more normal comment section. But
that's right, yeah.
I guess with your way, people talk about it, and then other people can read them, and maybe see where the source came from, which is interesting.
Yeah. I don't like Discourse that much because there's this other kind of add-on thing that I have installed to my Firefox that blocks trackers. And for some reason it also blocks Discourse, so I'm like, no, let's not use that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, yeah. There's so many different modifications these days that they can conflict with each other.
Yeah,
problem.
Not everything works with each other. I mean, it works. The thing that Tumblr offers, like with the tags and everything, it's not meant to be used as a comment section, but still people do it and it works. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of nice. People just find their own way to use whatever is given to them.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. Like there was that thing with the Check Please comic, where they were posting everything under one tag, and then people started using that tag so much to leave comments and fan art and discussion that they were like, okay, I'm starting posting them under this tag instead because it's flooded and I can't see what I'm doing anymore. Please don't use this now.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem then. Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't use. I use the tags mostly to either also add a little artist's comment, or to categorize the things. Like the AUs, they all have their tag. So when you click on the link that has like this is all the coffee shop stuff, it actually just goes into the tag for the coffee shop AU.
Mm-hmm. Which is super useful, by the way. So I'm very glad that's there.
It's awesome. I think that's how you're supposed to use those tags, I think.
It looks more right, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm saying that everybody should do it that way, but yeah, it works really well for me, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. With the interaction, have people like submitted their own AU ideas? And I guess you mentioned the Flea and the dog one earlier.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's really great. People... it's kind of like sometimes I imagine I'm like standing on this sort of stage and people just throw words at me and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can draw this, and it's so much fun because people think of things that I wouldn't think of, and not everything is that I hear it and I immediately have an idea for it, but sometimes it is. Like the coffee shop, it also was something that somebody suggested to me. And like I just read that, somebody just wrote basically like, what about a coffee shop AU? And like in that very second, I had like the entire first story just appeared in my head. I was like, oh yes, that's perfect. And it's just so great when something like that happens. And I can't always promise it, but sometimes it will work just like that. The 90s AU basically happened the same way. Someone was asking about the 1900s, but they mistyped, and it came out in the 1990s AU. I was like, oh yes, that's good.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, the person was kind of stumped, I guess, like, wait, that's not what I was asking for, but yeah.
Yeah, but they got something out of it, which is cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the coffee shop AU is kind of not just about a coffee. It's expanded quite a bit beyond that. So now
that's
it's
right. Yeah.
Interesting mystery, sleep deprived romance.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
But that's how it started. Just that one comment.
Yeah, it's cool to see how it all stems from these things. When you first started the comic, did you intend for it always to be like have not safe for work elements, or was that something that kind of came up later.
But in the very beginning, when it was just that concept of like this storybook thing, I don't think it was going to be have any adult content, because it was just going to be like that one book with one limited story, like how they got to know each other in the 1900s thing. I guess it would have ended like with them kissing or something like that. It's just something I like to do, end stories on kisses. And but when I got to the point where I was like, yeah, okay, this is going to be more of an online comic thing. I guess it was I decided that pretty early on that it was going to have adult content of some sort.
Oh, cool. How did you kind of get into drawing, and into drawing comics specifically as well?
Well, drawing, I started as soon as I was able to hold a pencil, I think. Mostly just the basic stuff that you draw when you're a kid, like this is a house and there's like people and the dog and stuff. And like really more serious with drawing I got when Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball first appeared here in Germany. And I was kind of like, oh my god, that looks so amazing. And I want to be able to do that. And that's when I was like, yeah, okay, this could be more than just a hobby. This could be like my thing. And the comic drawing, actually, I always wanted to draw comics, but I never had any ideas for comics, so I never did it. And so that's a more recent thing. I think maybe like 4 or 5 years ago that I really started with it. So not all that long ago.
Is there something you find like harder to draw than other things, like something that you find particularly difficult? Because it's interesting, a lot of artists find like backgrounds or certain bits of anatomy a lot harder than others to do.
Yeah, since I used to be more of a like illustrator, I just did those the single illustrations of characters and stuff like that, or fan art. I sometimes find it difficult to have some variation in things like perspective, or like have different backgrounds, because I always avoid drawing backgrounds, or used to avoid it a lot. And in an illustration you can easily do it, because you can just add like a solid color or a pattern or something like that. But in a comic you need to have some kind of background just to give the reader an idea of where the stuff is happening. And so that was something that I had to think about more. And the perspective thing, because I tend to build my panels like you'd build a single illustration, like at the what I think would be the best angle to have everything, to see everything. But that gets boring quite easily, because then it's always like just well, I don't know what to call those camera angles or whatever. They're pretty much the same all the time. And when I look at what other people do, they sometimes have these really extreme angles, or sometimes they show like something that isn't even part of the action, like just, I don't know, some part of the background or anything. And I used to not think in those kind of pictures, because I'm like always, how can I show the most of everything somehow? Kind of like, that illustration kind of thinking, way of thinking. At least that's how I explain it to myself. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know.
No, it's a super interesting one. Yeah, I know there's a lot of like styles that try to avoid backgrounds as much as possible. Like especially like I know Tab Kimpton, when he was doing Chaos Comics, he largely didn't have backgrounds for the majority of it, and then when he started doing that, he was like, "Oh God, what have I begun?" It's like doubles the length of time required for this, and now I have to figure out where to put the backgrounds in respective to things.
It's really awful when you're not used to it to start drawing backgrounds, because backgrounds can add so much to a panel and to like the comic story in general, because it gives you a feeling of where everything is happening, and like even the colors that you give to the background, like what kind of lighting situation you have and stuff, that it adds a lot. And when you're not used to doing that, it's it's kind of awful to suddenly have to start thinking about that as well on top of everything else. Like, is my anatomy correct? Does the story make sense? Is the background working? Oh my God.
It's good. I like how you're doing it though, because with the coffee shop AU, it's interesting. There's a lot of backgrounds because it's all based in this coffee shop, and there's a lot of really good shots of it, by the way.
You.
And now we're in kind of a more adult scene, and it seems it's part of it that the backgrounds have kind of dropped a bit, and there's just sparkles everywhere. Well, there's always sparkles everywhere, but even more sparkles. Because it's more like an in the moment kind of thing, and the contrast it can build by taking them away is quite interesting too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you think so, because to be honest, the reason why there aren't any backgrounds there is because I sort of forgot them. Honestly, I just honestly forgot to draw the backgrounds because like, yeah, oh my god, there's like sex happening and there's a penis and stuff, and I have to add all these sparkles and yeah, and I looked at it now that more pages of it are drawn, and I'm like, okay, there's no background anywhere except like the first page or so. Like, okay, there's a bit and that's it. So now I'm trying to do to have at least some panels where it's like a bit of a background again, just to assure people that yes, they're still in bed and it's not like this kind of floating void.
Space universe.
Yeah.
Fair enough, you fooled me, well done.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad. I'll have to remember that when the next person asks me, I'll be like, yes, it was absolutely done on purpose.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but I guess, I mean, like more adult stuff, it can work with less background because the background is not that important, I guess.
So you were saying about Hot Blood before. Are there any comics out there have that inspired you in some way? Because there's a lot on Tumblr, and a lot in like webcomics and queer webcomics, and that whole community's kind of exploded at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. I have to admit that I don't read that many, but there are some that I really like, and one of them is Oh Human Star.
Oh, Blue Delaquani. Yes.
Yes. I even bought the first two chapters as hard copies as well. Yeah, they're not hard covers, but yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I love that one so much. And what else is there? Well, yes, Hot Blood, and well, I read some comics that my friends draw, obviously, and yeah, there isn't really much else. What really inspired me was Steven Universe. And also Gravity Falls, because of the colors and the backgrounds, they're just so gorgeous.
Oh man, Gravity Falls! When I found that show, I was off sick, and I marathoned all of it within 2 days.
Yeah.
It's addictively good.
It's so good, yeah. It really does not feel like a show for children. I mean, not because it's like has any weird themes or anything, but just because it's so well done.
Yeah, I love it. There was this period.
Well thought out.
Yeah, there was a long period from what it seemed like to me anyway. I'm not sure if it happened in Germany as well, maybe, when people veered away from anime because it all became like solid 2 years just awful, cliche, trite, and then suddenly cartoons came back into being awesome.
Yes.
When some genius realized, wait, what we need to do to make things go on Cartoon Network is not make them for kids, but make them not have blood and sex, and that's pretty much all we need to make anyone be able to watch this stuff.
That's
and then
right,
we had Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, just these amazing things.
Kind of like a revival of amazing American cartoons.
Yeah, and I love that that's happened and it's still kind of going. And and there's some brilliant people like working on these things, and they do their own things. Like I can't remember who it was, but one of the people from Adventure Time then did Over the Garden Wall as their own thing. And there's one of the storyboard artists from Gravity Falls has their own comic now.
Really?
Yeah, it's called The Glass Scientist. It's really new, so it's very easy to catch up with, but it's really good.
Cool. I'll have to check that one out then, because oh my god, yeah, Gravity Falls, so gorgeous.
Oh, Cammy, if you love colours, hang on, I'll quickly link you this, because the colouring in this is so good. Oh, it's a perfect page as well, because there's just a beautiful sparkly horse in it.
Oh, beautiful.
As you do.
Let's see. It's loading. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, the colors.
Look at the color.
Oh, that horse. The sparkles.
And you can see the Gravity Falls kind of like soft and roundness of things.
Yes. Oh, man. That is so beautiful.
I'm so glad that this is a thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that the people put more effort into the look of their cartoons these days. That's really great.
Oh, yeah. Right, so that massive gushy tangent aside.
Yes, well...
I'm not sure if I'll keep or not, I don't know.
But yeah,
Oh.
it also is very inspiring for making your own thing when you look at stuff and it's just so pretty and so gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and the fact that there's like stories about everything now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's no longer a thing of going, I want to like the story. But I don't know if anyone would like a story like this. It's like, no, there'll be like 5 already, but they'll be different to yours. That's the thing. Just
That's
make
right,
what you want
yeah.
to make.
It's like people are getting more willing to take a risk with their stories and the look of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter kind of thing that everybody will love, that will definitely sell. And yeah, that's just a really good development, I think. And that's what I also like about the webcomics community exploding like this. Because yeah, everybody's just doing their own thing. Nobody has to answer to any publisher or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, people can just do whatever. And that's how all these super different and also super awesome things suddenly appear everywhere.
Oh yeah, I mean webcomics as well as like with webcomics, with Patreon, with Kickstarter now, people are not only able to like make their thing and just let it find its audience on its own because people search for it actively.
Yeah.
Now people are able to fund themselves entirely out of the people reading it, and it's amazing to see that much of like
that's right,
independence. Being
that's really cool that these two things kind of like developed at the same time because they're like helping each other, kind of like. I mean, it's much easier to have your webcomic and have your webcomic be really awesome if you get some monetary support as well. And yeah, these days you have Patreon and I think Tapastic also has a way of supporting the artists.
Oh yeah, and it's like the daily recommendation things, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I've not been there myself ever yet, but somebody told me about it, that they also have like, it's kind of like a combined thing between Smack Jeeves and Patreon. So yeah, that's really cool that you have all these things these days. And also, of course, what's it called? We can back stuff Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. That's cool for like print stuff. When you have your webcomic, but you want to get it printed, and you also want to have it have a good quality, then
yeah, especially really if cool. Like you people will buy it, but you can't afford to do it, and it just makes it work the way round where things will actually work. Yeah. And it's allowed so many anthologies now, like the Purity anthology, which you're in.
Yeah, this is so cool. I didn't even expect to really get in there. It was just because what I pitched was actually just a story that I already had planned for Get Your Man. And they accepted it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool, awesome."
Oh, sweet.
So it's like no extra work, but much more exposure.
Exposure and payment, and yeah, there's so many anthologies right now. It's just a total win-win.
Yeah, that is so cool that is being a thing again.
Yeah. Well, I think I've taken away enough of your dog's time, so I'll probably round it up there.
Okay.
But it's been really good talking to you, Kami. Yeah. I love the comic so much, and I'm hoping to like plug it to more people, and yeah, I'm hoping to really bring you a lot more like people through as well, because it's super cool. Thank you. You're doing amazing.
Yes, well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It was lovely chatting.
Hey.
I'll leave you to your dog, and
yes,
super. It's been lovely talking to you, Kami. Have a really good day.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. Bye. For more reviews, interviews, and news about sexy and or geeky things, please subscribe. Or help support this project on Patreon to help me fund transport to go to an alternate universe where everyone is cats.